All right, we're going to take a look at number 17. I did rewrite it just so I had a little bit more space to work with, but we are dealing with absolute values on this absolute value equation. So the first thing I always have to remember is that I need to get my absolute value completely isolated before I can get rid of it, before I can separate it into two separate equations. So that absolute value stays on there until it's completely isolated. So a big common mistake people make here, if you got this wrong, it might be that you did 3 minus 3 first, but we have to keep in mind if this 3 was like behind here, you wouldn't combine these together. Technically, this 3 is getting multiplied by whatever's in the absolute value, so we can't add these two numbers together. That doesn't follow order of operations, and it's going to get us the wrong answer. You'd end up with 0. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to start by just subtracting the 3, and now I have a negative 3, absolute value of 10x plus 8 equals negative 24. Now I can tell, even though there is no multiplication sign, these absolute value symbols kind of act as a parentheses. So this is being multiplied by this. So in order to undo multiplication, I am going to divide by negative 3 each side. And that still have everything inside the absolute value. So 10x plus 8, the absolute value of, will equal 8. We know we can go forward because we have a positive number. If we had a negative number here, there would be no solution, but I do have a positive number. So now I'm going to separate it into two separate equations. I'm going to have 10x plus 8 equals 8. So that's basically just what I have here without the absolute value symbol. And then over here, I'm going to have 10x plus 8 equals negative 8. Keep in mind, you're never going to change the sign of whatever's inside the absolute value. You're just going to change what it equals, because we know that absolute value is the distance away from 0. So, and it's always positive. So if I had negative 8, that still would have a distance of 8. I'm going to go through and solve. I should get 10x equals 0. So x can equal 0. And also, if I divide this by 10, I'm going to get 10, or x equals negative 16 tenths. You always want to see if you can simplify. I know these are even numbers, so I definitely can simplify. So I'm going to divide each by 2. So we will get negative 8 fifths. So our two answers for this would be 0, x equals 0, and x equals negative 8 fifths.